Imagine writing this article and getting it in a major publication in the wake of Hurricane Harvey. It says, don't outlaw price gouging after Harvey. Let the market work. Somebody wrote that. And then it was published in various major publications. It's from a guy named Mark Perry of the American Enterprise Institute, which of course is a crazy right-wing think tank. And all the right-wing think tanks are corporate funded. So shocker, corporate funded outlet says, let corporations price gouge people, even during a natural disaster when their lives are being destroyed. The discourse at this point is just beyond broken. There was Eric Prince, the guy who is a war criminal, who was the head of Blackwater, then it became Z, and then it became some other name because it was mired in scandal, because they kept killing innocent people. He wrote an article in the New York Times this week saying, your corporations are the answer to fixing the war in Afghanistan. Not more soldiers, more private contractors. So like mercenary army people. Again, shocker, he would profit if you go down that path. He wrote an article in the New York Times in favor of a mercenary army, and he's a war criminal. What the fuck is happening to us? Somebody ran this article after Hurricane Harvey. Price gouging, great! You know, people were mocking this on Twitter and saying shit like, next, why Agent Orange wasn't so bad. Peace by the company that made Agent Orange. You know, why Salmonella is actually good for the people. Written by some meat company that had a Salmonella outbreak. Like, we're near that level with shit like this. Okay, so let's see what he said here. This is the core of his argument. While price ceilings may be motivated by an understandable desire to help consumers in Texas and Louisiana by keeping prices low, those artificially low prices exert secondary effects that are guaranteed to retard the recovery process following Hurricane Harvey. As the prices that are kept artificially low by government mandate, consumer demand for critical supplies, fuel, food, water, generators, plywood, hotel rooms, etc., will quickly outstrip the available supplies, resulting in artificial shortages for those supplies. The price gouging laws that prevent prices from rising to reflect the true market conditions are also guaranteed to slow the flow of critical goods and supplies into the affected areas in Texas and Louisiana. Shipments that do arrive in those affected areas will likely be greeted by long lines of consumers, many of whom may end up without anything. What we know with economic certainty is that the price gouging laws in Texas and Louisiana are guaranteed to result in serious misallocations of critical resources at the exact time that an efficient allocation of those scarce critical resources will be desperately needed. Bottom line, a frequent claim we hear is that the laws of economics should be suspended, ignored, or circumvented following a natural disaster like Hurricane Harvey, which then motivates laws against price gouging. But you can make a stronger case that it's during the period following a natural disaster like a hurricane when we want market prices to prevail and market forces to operate as forcefully and powerfully as possible. Reason? It's the period immediately following a disaster like Hurricane Harvey when efficient resource allocation and addressing scarcity become more heightened than during a normal non-disaster period. That may literally be the dumbest thing I've ever read in my life. Hey, idiot! If you price gouge, or if you didn't price gouge, it's going to be scarce resources. Why? Because everybody and their mother needs the fuel, needs the food, needs the water, needs all that stuff. And there was just a giant hurricane and a massive flash flood. So everybody needs it. It is harder for the goods to get in there because of the flooding. But it doesn't matter if you charge a lot or you charge a little. It's going to be scarce no matter what because everybody fucking needs it. And what you're saying is, yeah, but if you keep the prices high, then the market forces work. Why do libertarian douchebags and far-right pricks treat the market like it's a god? Have you ever noticed every argument they ever make comes back to the sanctity of the marketplace? Oh! They view the market as, well, I mean, obviously, you can't do anything to artificially tweak the market. You have to let the market work on its own. Oh! That argument, taken to its logical conclusion, leads to the most preposterous outcomes you could ever imagine. So who was it? Jonas Salk was the one who did, I think, the polio vaccine, right? Or it was either polio vaccine or a different vaccine. And they asked him, hey, man, why don't you patent this? Because, hey, according to the laws of the market, he could patent it and he could make, multiple billions of dollars. He goes, I'm not going to fucking patent it. Why would I patent it? What am I going to? It's like patenting the sun. We have a cure for a disease that afflicts so many people and ruins lives. I'm going to patent it and be a soul-sucking leech that takes billions of dollars as a result of that. And according to the market, it is in such high demand that he can charge as much as he fucking wants for that vaccine now, can he? Hey, it's the market, man. There's a very high demand for it. Very high demand, and he's the only guy that has it. The market dictates. He can charge an arm and a leg for that. And hey, it's the rules of the market, man. And then what would guys like this say? Well, if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have the vaccine. So he has every right to patent it and price gouge the shit out of everybody. Now, he was kind enough to not do that because he's a decent person, but maybe, just maybe, there should be rules in place as to if somebody comes along who's not as generous to take things like when it comes to medical care, when it comes to pharmaceutical drugs. Hey, here we have rules. Here we have, we have regulation that says, yeah, we'll pay the person, of course, but we're not going to make it so that they're allowed to price gouge. This person is saying in the wake of a hurricane, when a natural disaster just happened, if they want to jack up the price of water or food by 800%, hey, man, that's the marketplace at work. He's arguing that's a good thing. Yeah, it's a good thing. Let him jack up the prices. That's fine. Because if you don't, there will be scarcity. But there's going to be scarcity either way. Because everybody needs it. So it's either there's scarcity and you overcharge the shit out of everybody and drain their accounts at a time when they need help the most and when they need that money the most because they just lost everything they fucking have. Either you do it and overcharge them or you charge them the normal amount like a decent human being. And in reality, what should really happen is you don't charge them anything in a situation like this. This is why we have a government. For situations like this, this is where FEMA needs to step in and say, you know what? We got this. You got all the authorities doing all the search and rescue, and you also have emergency relief funding that goes in there and gives people free water and free food. They just lost their fucking house. They just lost their cars. They just lost their goddamn livelihoods. And your punk ass is saying, hey, maybe if a store wants to charge them $100 for a 12-pack of water, that's totally fine. They treat the market like it's some sort of inexorable, omnipotent God. It's not. It's just a way of allocating resources. And of course, you're allowed to tweak it. And you're allowed to have a government regulate it. And you're allowed to make value decisions as to what should be prioritized and what shouldn't be prioritized. I mean, these are the kinds of people who argue Medicare and Medicaid are unacceptable. We can't have health care for old people or poor people because that violates the principles of the free market. So in other words, forget the outcomes. Forget that we want to give health care to these people and they couldn't afford it otherwise. Forget that. Don't worry about that. The market. It's the market. See, you've artificially tweaked the marketplace. And when you do that, there are more bad outcomes than positive outcomes. So you have to abolish Medicare and Medicaid, get rid of unemployment insurance, don't regulate Wall Street. These guys they never got past their 14-year-old Ayn Rand phase. This dude's probably 30-something years old, 40-something years old, making the same goddamn arguments as some pimply-faced loser after he jerks off into a sock and reads Ayn Rand and Milton Friedman and fucking Hayek and Murray Rothbard. We get it. You're a libertarian. We got it. That's not the height of intellectualism. They're actually really, really, really sad arguments that anybody that cares even a little bit about their fellow citizens would immediately see the flaws in. But no, instead, in a major publication, we get an article about how price gouging is awesome in the wake of a hurricane. Go ahead. If you guys, you want to vote for these people? Please, by all means. Vote for the people who are going to spit in your eye on a regular basis.